hello everybody, and some of you may have... Hello, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Hello everybody, welcome to the Mecha Panel, 2016 edition. Some of you may have seen me on this stage last night attempting to talk about Tokusatsu. That was quite good once we got past the technical difficulties. This time I think I know what I'm doing, so this one should go off without a hitch.
Do you want to curse us?
Yes.
You've got it on speakers, right?
Pardon?
You've got it on the speakers, right?
Yes.
It's on the speakers. We tested this.
So, first of all, does anybody actually know what show this one's from? No? Good, you're in the right place. You'll find out in a bit, actually. It's one of the ones I talk about. Let's begin with what's going to happen. I'm not going to try and talk about the history of robots. I'm not going to talk about Yoshiyuki Tomino. I'm not going to talk about Gundam aired in 1979 and all that, because probably if you're coming to a giant robot panel for, I think, the third or fourth year I've run it, you know all that stuff. I've given up on attracting people that don't know anything about robots and want to learn about robots. I'm accepting I've got the audience of people that like robots. So I'm going to be talking about underappreciated shows, some of which you can actually get on DVD now, which is really nice. Thank heaven for license rescuing. There's going to be plain weird shows and comedy robot shows and just stuff that's really bad. Broadly, I'm going to have, as I say, the three sections: oddball and comedy, interesting unknown stuff, and the really legendary bad shows.
Or just stuff that's boringly bad.
Yes, they don't get screenshots or anything, they just get a slide of shame. Next one, does anybody actually know this one? No. No. It's Daltanius, Robot of the Future.
You were close, same director.
What's say? Someone Nagahammer?
It's Nagahammer, yes.
Yes.
Last show he did before he died.
Yes, it's also, I believe, the first super robot that had the lion chest thing that Gargantia, X-Kaiser and such like would go on to have. I've got a video clip from it I was going to show a bit later. But in the meantime, I'm going to begin with the first super robot that aired on Japanese television in animated format. It's not what you think it is, unless it is.
'Same animation studio would go on to do Chargeman Ken.
Yes, that is, of course, Studio NAC, also responsible for Govarian and Goizer X, which are both kind of boringly bad, really. Goizer X is interesting because I watched an episode of it in the interest of curiosity. During the fight scene, it did its full transformation, attacked an enemy, the attack didn't work, so then they played all the transformation footage in reverse to show it turning back to its other form so it could attack again. It's a very odd show. Goizer X, interestingly, also got a homage in Shin Mazinger as a mechanical beast.
As the giant bomber.
That was actually based on Goizer X, so a fitting end for a series like that. Anyway, let's proceed on to the Brave series. I'm sure some of you have probably seen Gargantia. There's quite a lot of other ones, and they're mostly quite silly. Gargantia kind of has this reputation, mostly through Final, of being like a teen, edgy kind of show. It's got all the kind of extreme increasing the scale and everything, but the rest of the franchise, with the possible exception of J. Decker and Dagan, is really stupid.
Dagon isn't that stupid, mostly.
No, I suppose you're right actually, but Dagon is very different in its own way. It's quite good. So almost every Yusha series is now watchable in English. Well, all of them have English subtitles of some form, but the ones from Mike Gain aren't very good.
They're high-end Hong Kong subs, they just murder the names.
And so if you wanted to check out any of the past entries, it's never been a better time. What we've got here are pictures from Brave of the Sun Firebird on the left.
The source of the very infamous, is that a bird picture of a butterfly? Have you
Yes.
ever seen that?
That's the one with Katori, who is the stupidest robot in the world. He spends most of his life being confused by everything and being pursued by a woman. It's quite entertaining.
He is a space alien, though.
That's true. The middle one is from Brave X Kaiser, the first Yusha series. It's not very good. It's a shame because it looks quite nice in places, but it really is, I think, 44 episodes of nothing happens, and then they remember there was supposed to be a plot in the final episode.
So the villains are robotic dinosaurs.
Yes, the villains are literally the Dinobots that sit in a volcano, watch TV, and be comically stupid. It's possibly worth watching an episode or two of, but...
It's on YouTube, the sub is on YouTube.
Yes, the whole series is subbed on YouTube. The last one is Goldran, the source of any number of out-of-context anime screen caps you may have seen in your lives. Goldran is weird. It's basically half the series is national stereotypes, as the heroes go around sort of almost Time Bokan style and go to countries that are parodies of real countries and do vaguely stereotypical activities
This
there.
includes a Japan parody.
The second half, they go into space and go to planets such as the planet of the Potato Men, where they fart a lot, the robot planet, where the main robot has a baby, or actually quadruplets, by accidentally making another robot pregnant, and just a whole variety of other very weird adventures. Yes, don't watch Goldrun expecting anything vaguely resembling Gal Gaiga or anything. It's really kind of a stupid country or planet of the week thing. Here's the opening credits. I'll talk in a minute. 'Crazy Shark is a recurring mech for the second half of the series. It's extremely good. It's the source of endless Captain Harlock parodies. Yes, a recurring villain from the first half of the series who is massively stupid and spends the first half of the series trying to get a robot of his own, finally finds one, and comedy ensues because he decides to disguise himself as a space pirate and make lots of Harlock jokes. Here's a bit where I talk a bit more about Goldran. I've actually already run through all this, so I'm just going to move straight on.
You forgot to make a comment about the stupid name.
Oh, yes, that's the point. The second villain for the second arc of the series is called Sirius. And they have a recap episode and he tries to kill the entire cast during the recap episode. It's a little bit meta in places, but mostly it's just that very weird, slightly kind of very childish actually, Japanese 90s anime comedy humour. So if you have a stomach for that, I highly recommend trying it. Next up we've got, what? Here we go, Shooting Star Cactus Saver. This is good. It's underrated, it's quite funny. It's sort of a Gunbuster parody in many ways, but the big joke is basically the coach figure is nobody likes him. And nobody wants to pilot the robot. He gets the entire class to do it, and obviously, because there's 8 pilots in one robot, none of them can agree about what to do. So it pulls out random weapons because everybody's trying to do different things. The villains are completely ineffectual. and the ending is a really quite funny twist, which I won't spoil if you haven't seen it, but it's only 4 episodes, and I highly recommend watching it because it's a really quite good send-up of Gunbuster.
Warning for the opening, there's lots of flashing
Yes,
lights.
I should say definitely a seizure warning. Does anybody have a problem with flashing lights? If so, I'll skip the video. Anybody? Okay, I think I'll go then. Really quite good. And the whole series, the whole OVA is in that vein. It's really quite funny. What do we have next? Die Guard. Has anybody seen this? Yes. Good. Good to see some fans of clearly the best robot anime with clearly the best government agent in it. Yes, it's basically what happens if you privatise super robots and give it to the 9 to 5 workers to pilot them. The robot barely works because it's been made to the cheapest standards possible. Nobody expected they'd ever have to use it, and the government hates them. It's tremendously good fun, and has the catchiest opening theme I think that you'll hear all day. This show a source of very easy cosplay options if you're a guy. It's also the source of that clip of the robot throwing its arm as a rocket punch, if any of you have seen that one out of context. Alright, some other mecha comedy. Die Guard wasn't the first to try the what if there were office workers in robots thing. Ariel is a very short and very obscure OVA based on a very long series of light novels, except it has the bad guys being run as a really inefficient corporation. Ariel is very pretty, not very good. It's the one where the robot looks like a doll, with the very long hair and kind of bike helmet and all that. If any of you played Super Robot Wars and seen Valsione, Ariel looks very similar.
Tits and all?
Pardon?
Tits and all?
Yes. It's actually dressed in sort of a leotard, a giant robot-sized leotard. It looks quite ridiculous, but at the same time, when you see the illustrations, I want to say they're by Urashihara, possibly, he makes it look very pretty. Graduation, Sailor Victory. This is really odd. Graduation is, as I understand it, a visual novel and OVA. A dating sim, I believe? Possibly. But they did a comedy robot OVA of it, which is interesting in its own way. It has a decent joke where the pilots, all three young girls, go through a Sailor Moon style transformation to pilot the robot and end up with more clothes than they started with. Yes, they transform from like ridiculous fantasy outfits into like ordinary clothes to pilot the robot. It's very unusual, but actually quite good fun. Very short again. A lot of these OVAs from the 80s, 90s are not very long, only sort of 4 to 6 episodes, sometimes less. Don't expect them ever to be finished either. I mean, Ariel, they did a very strange thing with that. They thought, we need to make an OVA of this light novel series. Let's do 4 single 20-minute or 25-minute episodes, like they were from a long Super Robot series. So you get like 4 random Monster of the Week battles, pretty much, and no kind of, and lots of hints at other plot lines. It's basically just read the books to find out more.
Yay, commercials.
Yes. Recently there have been some other good takes on mecha comedy. Majestic Prince was severely underrated. It was... Lots of people discounted it because of Hirai doing the character designs, Hirai of Gundam Seed fame. But he did a good job. He managed to avoid the same face by having everybody doing sort of Slayer-style silly faces all the time. And made a show that was quite a good kind of take on the Nadesco kind of formula. Really enjoyable. Daimedala. Has anybody seen this? It is, yes.
The one with the dancing penguins.
Yes. It has penguins. They definitely do not have massive boners all the time. They will tell you this repeatedly. They do like to show them off though. Yes. Basically imagine the Gona guy that did Keko Kamen and all his various other kind of raunchiest stuff. Here's that Aquarion is a robot that has people orgasm when it combines. And yeah, imagine that somebody with that mindset made a show based on that premise. And yes, you have Daimedala. It's very weird. It has penguins.
The show is parted by the main character groping his girlfriend.
Yes. It's worth, though, even if you have very little interest in Daimedala, looking up the Penguin Empire's website.
It's the most amazingly 90s thing ever.
This is a joke in the show that they actually made into a real website. The Evil Organisation's website is basically a GeoCities page. Completely with these web rings. It's brilliant. And finally, there's Active Raid, which was airing quite recently. It was sort of a Metal Heroes show.
Is it the second one airing this season?
Yes, there is a second season of Active Raid airing now. The first series finished last year, I believe. It's a bit like You're Under Arrest meets Winspector, if any of you know about Metal Heroes. It's kind of a space police or sci-fi police thing, but they're all completely incompetent. Not in the Pat or comfortable way, but in the You're Under Arrest, everybody is a total idiot way. So that's... those were the comedies that I was going to talk about. I have actually got a little more time for this panel than I thought, so there's another show that was also ran that I want to include. Overman King Gainer. Has anybody seen that? Yes. It's one of my favourites, I must admit. It's Yoshiyuki Tomino doing a comedy show. He's done a few of them. Double Zeta Gundam technically counts. There's Zabando.
Elgime in places.
Elgime just goes weird in places and occasionally funny. But Overman King Gainer, which, don't tell me I don't have it on, oh no, there it is, good, is extremely good. People say it doesn't make a lot of sense, but you have to realise that the plot is mostly secondary to all the characters trying to get along with each other. It has a pretty notable and very catchy opening I'm going to show you now. again to show everybody does this dance, even the robots.
Random trivia for that, the lyrics were written by Tomino under one of his usual aliases.
And sung by Fukuyama, also notable for doing all the Firebomber songs from Across 7. So yes, King Gainer, I quite rate it. I think it's currently in licensing hell at the moment, unfortunately.
This is why you buy DVD second hand.
Yes. So that was the show I was going to include in this section. Going on, it's time for really bad shows. Here's a screen cap from X-Kaiser. Let's start with Cybuster. Now, some people say that Tsukihime does not have an anime. This is the Mecha equivalent. Cybuster, if anybody's played Super Robot Wars, Cybuster is what they did when they couldn't get the rights to Dundine, but they wanted to have Bison Well in their game, so they created Lagias, which is basically the same thing. It has a lot of memorable characters, like Masaki Ando, who gets lost a lot, and Shusho Okawa, who has purple hair and pilots the Granzon, which is the coolest super robot. This guy in the helicopter there, that is Shusho Okawa in this Cybuster anime. They turned him into a generic Bubblegum Crisis villain of the week. They got rid of basically all the iconic mech designs except the Cybuster there.
And they replaced Masaki's character design with Yuusei's from the game.
Yes. I should add that those brown kind of indistinct mecha there are actually meant to be Valsions, which were an end boss mech in the early Super Robot Wars games, which didn't look anything like that. The Valsione turns up in name only. It's an unfinished kind of sniper mech that doesn't really do anything and is not the beautiful woman with purple hair, robot-sized. Ryun doesn't exist in this. Safine is not the dominatrix that she is in the games. She's a generic office lady. And the best part is the finishing attack for Cybuster is he holds hands with the other Masakishin and they all spin around really fast in a move stolen from Machine Blaster Blocker Gundam 4. They call this the Psy-Flash. So yes, this is a mess of a series, but it has one hell of an opening. Seriously, don't watch this. If you want to watch the Super Robot Wars anime, watch The Inspectors that aired a few years back. That's actually really good and doesn't change everything arbitrarily. Okay, I'm going to go straight to the next video here. Watch this and see how awesome it looks.
Mishahel.
cool, doesn't it? Everything about Machinery sounds like it should be the most radical thing ever. I mean, it's got Super 80s shading, it's got Transformers, it's got Robot Ninja, who has Wild West music, and he gets in a robot, which then gets in a bigger robot, and he has a really cool catchphrase. He's called Ron Stoll. He has a smoking hot robot sister, who is one of the first kind of waifu characters in 80s anime. Lena Stoll was immensely popular, as I recall. The bad guy is called Devil Satan 6, and is 6 smaller evil robots that combine into a giant robot demon. It sounds like it should be really awesome, and if you play Super Robot Wars MX, Ron Stoll turns up shouting his catchphrase at everything, including angels, and they listen to him. He's that badass. And then you watch it, and I swear to God, all I've done here is taken 2 clips from the same episode and cross-faded them together. There has been no other shenanigans at work here. I heard that's actually the main villain of the series. He just pretty much sent running away in one kick there. So, yeah, the show is incredibly long as well. It never gets any better. I made it 10 episodes in. Right, here we go. Here's a joke for you. Hisashi Hirai, everybody says he does the same character designs in every show. And yeah, I'm not sure this show show's actually really bad, but I do know I pretty much fell asleep halfway through the first episode, so it's probably not good. It's, at the same time, not the worst thing Hisashi Hirai's worked on. I mean, he worked on Gundam Seed Destiny and Land Battles of Iron. On the other hand, it's really, really unremarkable, right? It's clear this was the lowest of low-effort series. It's got a mysterious girl, there's a robot involved, all the support robots look incredibly ugly, all the characters look incredibly ugly and are incredibly formulaic, and it's so bad, OpenOffice refused to embed the video properly, so I'm going to have to open it in a media player instead. Yes, this is a show so bad that the panel did not want to include it within. Here we go. Also, how many Gundam Seed characters can you recognise in this video? Oh my god, fan subbing. How did he ever survive? So yes, that was basically Hisashi Hirai phoning it in a show where the writers were phoning it in. On the other hand, his liking of having all his characters looking vaguely similar does pay off to pretty good end in, I think it's Super Robot Wars UX, where they actually basically have the seed cast hanging around with the Fafner cast, and they fit together so well, it's like they're from the same show. Some wag, even on the Super Robot Wars wiki, did rename all the siege units to Mark Freedom, Mark Destiny, and such like. So yes, Hisashi Hirai. He did actually work on Dankuga, and yeah, he must have not found his star by then, because I didn't know that until I found it on Wikipedia.
I mean, it's probably only partially true.
That's also the case. I think it's on ANN as well, so...
Or mentioning KNN are equally more accurate.
That's a good point. I seem to recall ANN tried to tell me Gynax worked on KO Beast, and they definitely didn't. Right, carrying on. I could list bad robot shows all day, but the problem is I like too many of them. For the really, yeah, a lot of stuff is objectively not good, like Dangaio, like Zero Rhymer, stuff like that. It's cheesy bad. For really, really bad stuff, you have to go right back into the mist of time where there are a great list of things nobody sane has ever heard of, like Mecha Robot.
Unless you played, was it Compact?
Yep, Super Robot Wars Compact has Mecha Robot, and everybody hates it. Both the game and the fact Mecha Robot is in it. Mecha Robot is very, very cheap, and has the gimmick of, every time it fights and combines, the enemy fire a ballistic missile at it. As the robot then decombines, the missile turns around and hits the thing that fired it.
Exact same footage.
With the same footage. Also the...
sponsored but bailed halfway through the series.
Also I should note that the missile looks vaguely like a weirdly coloured sex toy. It's and this makes it very bad for toy designs. This didn't stop the toy companies. Yes, Mecha Robot. You might almost, from the opening, think it could be good in a cheesy way because it has a shark missile. Yes, this is a lie. Then there's Knights of Ramune. Ramune, even, sorry, yes. Named after the drink. Named after the drink. There was an original series of this. It was a fun and cute fantasy robot show. Then they did an OVA of it, which is absolutely not safe for work.
Well, not quite. There was the original series, there was the small OVAs they did in the middle, then they had 40 and Fire, and Knights is set after Fire.
Right, thank you. Yes, they made quite a lot of these, but for some reason one of the OVAs is extremely not safe for work.
The apparent idea was that they were following the fans who've grown up and become adults. Apparently said fans have grown up to people with rape fetishes.
Yes, it is really, really bad. I mean, I watched Gargantia and I thought, oh, if it's just slightly fan servicey, I can watch this, and then I was pretty creeped out by the end of the first episode and deleted it.
I watched it all, you don't want to.
Okay, right, so yes. Reunite is one that I'm putting in this best of the worst, just because it's a clear example of men in suits deciding what little girls do and do not like in their television programmes. Reunite has a fun and vaguely competent character called Paffy, who's the kind of love interest leading girl. Apparently, there was letters from on high saying make her less competent. And so as a result, after sort of her introductory arc, she barely gets a good fight scene for the rest of the series. They actually, you can really kind of see things where they were changing things to sell merchandise of certain characters. It also has an absolutely egregious number of recap episodes, seriously far too many for the thin plot that it actually has.
At least it's not 4 in a row.
That's true. On the other hand, it does also have an arc, I think, where it kills off the entire cast and brings them back twice in a row. Yes, they get 2 mid-season upgrades in 2 successive arcs, both of which involve them dying and coming back. So yes, Reunite, it's not very good, which is a shame, because it's one of the things that is close to being good, with slightly less meddling and slightly better writing. It would be a fun enough show. And some series that are actually good, and we're going to start with the one this picture's from. It's Giant Gorg, which is fantastically good. Giant Gorg is notable in that it's a robot that is completely invincible. Nothing can hurt it. Nothing hurts it in the series. It just single-handedly kills everything you put in front of it. The problem is getting it to stop. It's like a slightly more friendly Idion. It's a very slow-burning series. The robot doesn't turn up for quite a while, and for at least the first half of the series, the main character doesn't even really know how to control it. He just kind of gives it vague directions and sometimes it follows them. But what it is more like is a sort of kids' adventure kind of thing. Our hero, Yu, meets up with Doris, who's a girl with a fantastic litany of silly faces, a comedy dog, and a useless scientist, and then later on is joined by the captain, who is an all-around action hero and badass. And they go to a mysterious island to investigate some ruins that are potentially alien. And they run into Gale, who are an evil corporation that are doing things. And there's a really good plot going on. The robot is basically incidental. It is there, it does stuff. It's not just there to have a fight every episode. It's a plot device, and it's really, really good. If you liked Nadia, but didn't like the Desert Island arc of Nadia, Gorg is like the good bits. So I highly recommend giving it a shot. And a very good opening again. In Super Wars BX, which is where Gorg makes its debut, its initial attacks are punch and throw rock.
Later on, throw aeroplane.
Yes, later on it goes to throw aeroplane, and it gets a gun, which it just has taken off a tank turret and fires manually. It's pretty fantastic, and is completely invincible in the series as well. It's very good. Right, Mars Daybreak. This one, I can't give a Super Wars analogy here, because it's not been in. Probably for good reason, because nobody likes water stages in strategy games, and this show is all about submarines.
I never stopped them putting the 2 Alpha Dead 9 in one.
That's a good point. And Gargantia, which is set on a boat. But carrying on. The Mars Daybreak is not an original show. It's a very standard bunch of misfits on a ship, having adventures, going on a quest, that kind of thing. But I really think people should watch it because not only does it have the exceptionally cute Esther in the left-hand picture, it has the exceptionally badass captain, who is the old grizzled captain archetype, but a woman, which I always like, as mix-up on the formula. And it's got a really comfy underwater setting, it's got some very funny villains. It's not as zany as King Gainer, but it's only hit some of the same beats. I'd also compare it to Eureka 7 in a way. So if you have watched Eureka 7, you've watched all the other kind of shows in that vein, and you're looking for something else, try this if you haven't. It's really quite nice. And here we go. Mention the dolphin, he's fantastic. He has rocket launchers in his diving suit and is just generally entirely more badass than you'd expect. Yes, the dolphin, he's fantastic. Mars Daybreak, slightly generic but good fun. Gear Fighter Dendo, there are elements of an unused Brave series in this, Saint Brave's Bangan. Bangan itself got a figure and it got featured in the Brave Saga computer games, I believe, but it was never actually made. Some of the ideas, I think the robot combining animal bits that are the weapons for Dendo would turn up in Dendo. It's really not similar in any other way. It's got piloted robots, they're not sentient. The aliens are quite different in nature. It feels very comfortable. If you've watched Gargantia and you're looking for something in that vein, Dendo will fill that niche, certainly.
It was also the first show Sunrise did that was digitally animated, rather than cell animation, you can kind of tell. Yes,
in places it shows its age a little. It also has some spectacularly early 2000s views on the internet. If you were here from the previous panel, I was talking about how Gridman kind of was pretty hilariously out of date on the internet. Dendo follows on in that trend. Initially I really hated it because I'd only played Super Robot Wars MX, and Dendo features a lot in that, and the bad guys are really annoying in that game. And Dendo itself has a really annoying gimmick that makes for a very fun show.
It's powered by giant AA batteries.
Yes. Literally, it does not benefit from recovering energy in normal ways. They've done a toyetic version of Evangelion in that they have to put batteries in the robot to keep it going. It has a plane that delivers them.
As in, it delivers 2 giant AA batteries to be slotted in the back of the mech.
Yes. Dendo also has the gimmick that if it uses its finishing move, it shuts down because that uses all the power left in it. It's, they actually use this for some pretty good and funny episodes in the series. I think the best one is where they hook it all up to a bunch of exercise bikes to repower it after it hits an enemy and it doesn't work. That's a pretty good one. The show is quite good. It has Vega, who is best mum in anime, definitely a candidate. She's basically Char with a motorbike. Or I should say a mixture of Char and Chris from Bubblegum Crisis really in how she is. Utter badass, really good mum. And it has, it's generally just a very nice and comfortable show with some slightly dodgy CGI and digital animation in places.
I think the CG is more endearingly old rather than dodgy, but...
Yes, it's sort of like, I think it was J Decker had the CGI eye catches, it's sort of a bit like that. Here it goes. should probably add, if you want to watch this, most of the series has incredibly maverick HK subs, bootleg subs, that don't like the names very much.
That's normal for HK subs, simply because they run through Chinese.
Yes, the subtitling gets a little bit maverick at times in terms of grammar and names and all that.
Most of them is probably being the Uzi boy, he is the ninja.
Yes, yes, it is certainly odd. But it's worth persevering because there's quite a fun show hiding behind that. And now, any questions? We seem to have finished a bit earlier. I have a couple of other videos. Actually, before questions, I will just quickly show a clip from Daltanius, which came up at the start. I'll do the opening because the fight's a bit dull. Daltanius, I think, was the first super robot to have the lion chest thing, as I said earlier. It, I believe, predates Voltron as well, or Go Lion as it's probably called.
They're about the same year.
About the same year. Incidentally, on the subject of Go Lion, Voltron Legendary Defender on Netflix is extremely good if you want to watch a modern super robot show. It's remarkably good fun. I was honestly really surprised at how good a job they did with it. There's lots of references to old stuff that are quite often quite subtle. They don't kind of lampshade you over the head with them, but it's a very funny show. And also, I must admit, I think the butler is absolutely hilarious. If you've seen the show, you'll know what I mean. So, does anybody have any questions? And this time, I believe my assistant will bring you the microphone so you don't have to shout. Anybody? Oh, okay. That makes my job easier. I hope I didn't bore you. Oh, hello, yes, question.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. So the main reason, of course, I came to this panel, I've only seen like maybe 2-3 mecha anime, so I wanted to like get a more broader range of what mecha anime to watch. Besides the ones you mentioned, is there any you'd like highly recommend? So the past I've seen, what I've seen so far, just Neon Genesis Evangelion and Code Geass.
Right.
That's basically, and Bubblegum Crisis, but that's it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any
Okay,
good recommendations.
I'd say if you liked Evangelion, you should probably try Razapon. People say it's a rip-off, it's actually quite different and it's really good in its own way. I'd also say Eureka 7 is a show I would generally recommend to everybody. It's good, it does a lot of interesting things. I'd say Gundam 00 and probably Iron-Blooded Orphans are worth recommending if you want to try Gundam shows. I'd also say Macross Plus is probably one of the best OVAs I've ever watched. If you like kind of the more military drama side of things, that's very good. So there's some suggestions. I could go on for a very long time, but to be honest, a lot of stuff I would be recommending as a robot diehard. So, anybody else? No? Okay, well, thank you very much. I hope you all had a good time. I hope it was slightly informative in its own way. And yeah, I'll probably see you next year with more oddball stuff.